Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So, I was requested for a video on how to do the light kit in the WL Toys, what is this, V929? Yeah, V929. Anyhow, so, I've made a light kit for mine, pretty simple and easy, using some LED bulbs, just one on each leg, and mine are all the same color. Just plug it in here for you. Mine are all the same color. They're a bright white color, which is what I wanted. And I've also got another canopy too, where I actually made a kit for the canopy using 5mm lights up front and 3s at the back. And this way I can also tell which direction I'm going in now too at night, which is a lot of fun. And they run direct off the battery, so they're on all the time. This way I can turn on my white lights on and off through the remote, which is awesome that you can actually do that with this, so that's fun. Anyhow, so you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need your LED bulb of choice. Now I've got two bulbs out here just to show you. I've got a white bulb, and of course I've got a red-blue blinky bulb, and these are really cool too. Depending on how you want to do things, you can use either kind of bulb. But so now the longest lead on an LED bulb is always the positive lead, all the time. Okay, so you don't need to cut these leads any shorter unless you want to. Okay, you're going to also need a connector with a headpiece on it, like this, very small connector head that actually fits the port inside. So just take this off, and where's one of my LED wires? That would be one of them. Should be, yeah, positive, negative, this one. Okay, so we'll just unplug the one. You're going to need a connector that plugs in to the exact same port, so it's got to be the same size. Now there's a lot of different places online where you can probably find these connectors. You can strip them out of dead helicopters. A lot of different places you can find them, and the longer the wire, of course, the better, because you're going to need to have some length there in order to reach from here to the outside of your leg, right in here. And now I've tied mine on with zip ties. The reason why you also want to leave the legs long is because it's going to give you the bendability and put them in position easier. And when you've got the zip tie on here, it's going to zip up against here nice and snug. So you're also going to need some heat shrink tubing as well, because you want to cover those legs so they don't short out against each other. Now, when I strip wires this fine, what I like to do is I like to use a lighter or a pen torch. And this way it's a lot simpler to strip the casing away. And this way I know I'm not going to break any of the fine wires inside, because these wires will actually break pretty easy if you try using wire cutters. So the other thing you're going to need is a multimeter, because you're going to need to test voltage. Now I've got these two wires bared here. Now if you get lucky and you get black and white wires, that could actually work to be a nice benefit, except you don't always get to go red to positive and black to negative. Depends on the connector and how they've wired them on the board. So it really doesn't matter what color your two wires are. You just have to make sure you find your positive and your negative. So we've got our multimeter set at 20 volts DC. And now what we're going to do is we're going to plug our battery in, because we already know that power goes to these instantly for a few seconds. Well, we're going to need our remote. Okay, so now we've got power going to them. So now we connect our other end of our alligator clips. Be a good idea to have alligator clips. They actually work really well. Now we're showing negative 404, 405. So that means that our polarities are actually backwards, which means our yellow is actually a negative. So we switch that around. You will need a soldering iron too, guys, and some solder and soldering flux paste. Okay, now we're positive, so we got rid of our negative sign. So that means white is going to be positive and yellow is going to be your negative in this case. So once you've established that, mark one of your wires. If you want, mark your negative wire with a black pen, you know, black marker, and that'll work out for you without any difficulty. And of course you can go to the bulb here too. Negative should be negative and positive should be positive. And we've got light. So we're okay there. So now that you know which one this plug is, you're going to have to do the same for every plug, and that's going to depend on the color coding in your wires. And you want to check every plug regardless, just to make sure as you go along, and wire these up one at a time. And once they're wired, it won't really matter what color what wires are. They plug in, they'll work. So, because positive will be in the positive line and negative will be into the negative, and everything will be all good. And there we go. And that's out, and we've got our lights and everything's functional. So that's how you're going to do things. Now the soldering wire you're going to need, I'm using light duty rosin core solder. This is specifically for radio and TV electronics. You have to use this type of wire, and it's actually a solid wire. And then your flux paste, the stuff I use is called Master Soldering Paste. It says new software formula. I've had this can for years, because this stuff will last you for years and years and years, and it never goes bad. But this is for soldering with electronics. There is a difference between this stuff and plumber's stuff. You don't want to use plumber's paste with electronics. It's just not good for it. So you want to make sure that it's for TV and electronics stuff. And you need the paste because you have to tin the wires properly. You can't just put solder onto raw wire without having the wire cleaned as the solder sticks to it. I know I've seen a lot of places they're soldering, they're not using flux, and it does overheat the wires, it overheats your circuits. All kinds of problems can happen, so you really have to use the proper stuff for soldering with. You know, if you don't, hey, it's your problem if you screw something up. But I do things the proper way and it works. Now, you can pre-test each LED bulb by getting a simple little battery. This is a 3.7 volt LiPo battery, and I just put the positive into the positive, negative and negative, and I can tell that I've got a good bulb already, so you're not wasting time, you know, wiring it up and going, oh, you might get a dead bulb. Because here's the thing too, just as a little tidbit, when you start buying these bulbs in bulk, you can get bad ones. You know, I buy them in packs of 100 at a time of each color, so because I go through a lot of them. But when you buy them even in small quantities, where you get these multi-packs, I bought a couple of multi-packs last month just locally here because I needed a couple different colors and I didn't want to wait. I didn't feel like ordering 100 either. But both my light bulbs were actually shot in both packs. I thought, man, that sucks. But it really doesn't matter because I got about 200 of these anyhow. But you can get bad bulbs, so just keep in mind if you're going to do this sort of mod stuff to your RCs, it's cheaper to buy them in bulk when you can find them. A lot of places in China have them. Banggood has them. Several other outfits have them. I think Deal Extreme has them. There's a place in the States actually where you can buy bulk LED bulbs too. You know, so if you buy a minimum of 100 or 20 or 50 or however they have the setups done. I know Banggood you can get like a minimum of 20 of a lot of their colors. So, but anyway, so once you do that, you'll be able to turn your lights on and off. Now, you don't have to go with all 4 white. I just did that because that's what I wanted. But you can go like, you know, blinkers on the back and whites up front, you know, whatever you want. So it's up to you how you do it. The big thing you got to do is make sure that the bulbs that you buy can handle up to 3.8 volts or 3.7 volts even. Usually a battery like this, it's a 3.7 volt LiPo. They actually peak out at about 4.2 volts with fully charged, which is still within safety limits for the bulb. It's not going to hurt the bulb any. It's within safety limits. It's just the way batteries happen to charge and top out. And you know, I've had these things running straight off a battery like this for a long time and no damage to the bulb, so it's completely safe. So, but make sure that the bulbs you order are definitely going to handle 3.7, because each one of these sockets is pushed out through the board at about 4 volts per, or just over 4 volts per socket. So you want to make sure that your bulbs can handle that load. So, but otherwise, that's how you build your kits. It's very, very simple and easy. It's very inexpensive. Good learning experience too. If you haven't done it before, you can do it. Now, for those of you that might ask this question, I'm going to answer it right now. The Lighthawk Quattro, you can buy the light kits from them. They will plug into this machine, but you're going to have to reverse the polarities on each light bar because they're wired backwards compared to this. So if you're thinking about doing that, or you can actually order the light strip kit, but if you're doing separate LEDs, then you just need to get yourself these connectors, and a lot of hobby shops are going to have them for you. And like I said, you can strip them out of dead helicopters. That's where I gotten a lot of my connectors, is just stripping out dead helicopters, and it works. Because to try and solder this stuff direct to the receiver board is just a nightmare. They're so close together and everything. I just rather use the connectors. It's just way less hassle, and you know, and then this way, no chance of making a boo-boo anywhere. So, but anyways, that's pretty much it. So if you have any other questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and I'll do the best I can to answer them. And we'll see you in the next video.